I'm a good dancer.
Is it really?
Recording?
Right, we ready?
Everyone's a good dancer.
Okay, right. Over to you.
Okay, today I'm. Oh. Right, today I'm going to be talking about reverb and how to calculate the RT60 time, a little bit about absorption budgets and treatment, and just a little bit about the Norris-Ehring, whatever formula. Okay. Basically, as I'm sure we all know, reverb happens when a sound is played into an enclosed space, and this results in lots of echoes and reflections to build up and then decay over time. The first real study of reverb time and calculating it dates back to the 19th century with Wallace Sabine, when he began measuring the impact of absorption on reverb time. He did this using a portable wind chest, organ pipes and a stopwatch, and he measured the time from interruption of the sound source to complete inaudibility. And from all his calculation stuff, he worked out some basic room factors which sort of affect reverb time. And that is the size and the shape of the room, and what materials are placed inside, and what is physically placed in the room. And from all these things, he came up with how to calculate the RT60 time. We call it the RT60 time because it refers to the amount of time it takes for the reflections and stuff to reach 60 dB below the level of the original sound source. And this is the formula. RT60 equals 0.161 V over SA. And when we're talking about the amount of absorption, will always be a figure between 0 and 1. And 1 is the equivalent to an open window, and 0 would be like a very reflective surface. Okay, so 0.161 is the speed of sound in meters. If you wanted to do it in feet, it'd be 0.0449. The V is the volume of the room in meters cubed, and A is the total absorption, which we'll show you now. So to actually work out this formula, first of all, you have to measure all the dimensions of your room, and the more exact, and find out what all the materials are. The more exact you can be, the better. Like if you was just to take 4 walls and say, paint and plaster, then that wouldn't be as accurate as if you measured the windows and took every material into account. So once you've got all of that, you can find the absorption coefficient for all the materials in the room. And this is done by either in books or the internet. There's loads of big databases with loads of these things compiled on there. And then you can put it in a little chart like this. And the reason why we do it for each different frequency, as we all probably know, different materials have different absorption characteristics with different frequencies, so they react differently. So it's important that we do this to be more accurate. Once you've got all of that, you multiply the area of each different material with the Sabine for each different frequency, and you should get something which looks a little bit like this. Once you've done that, then you add them all together, and this will give you a figure called the total open window area. Yes. And then we can complete the equation once we've got all these figures. By that figure that we'll have there, the total open window area will be used as SA in the equation. So back to the equation, you do 0.161 times the volume of the room, say 63 meters cubed, and then divided by the total open window area for each frequency. And then once you have your results, you can plot them on a graph, and it might look a little something like this, which isn't great. Now there are a few problems with Sabine's formula. It doesn't take into account air absorption, which admittedly isn't really a problem in small rooms, but in bigger spaces it will have a bigger impact, so it is important to think of. It can have errors with materials with an absorption coefficient of 0.3 or greater, and it doesn't work with cylindrical shapes. The longer and the thinner I think is the shape is, the more errors occur. And also his formula gives an RT60 time when using a Sabine of 1, which it obviously shouldn't. Now, I am just going to talk a little bit about the Norris area reverb formula, because it is important to remember. As we know, reverb, reverb is not just because of all the sound absorbed by all the surfaces and in the room. It's also affected by the length of time between the surfaces interacting. And